Okay, let's talk about the simulation. By July 3rd, you should be signed up and you should know your team number. There will be two simulations running simultaneously in the class. There will be an individual simulation where those students that want to go it alone compete with each other, and there will be a team version of the simulation where you'll have your team number and I'll put you on a team and you will make your decisions jointly with your team members. The first assignment for the simulation is due on July 9th. So that's coming up pretty fast. And I will describe that assignment in this presentation as well as introduce the simulation generally. All right, so here's the scenario of the simulation. There is this new technology. It is very lightweight carbon material that uses 3D printing to create bikes, three types of bikes: mountain bikes, speed bikes, and recreation bikes. And you get to decide and really shape what kind of company you want to be in terms of the types of bikes you want to produce and the segment that you want to go after, as well as the geographic area that you want to be in, with opportunities to change and expand on those decisions later in the simulation. And you will be competing against your classmates in this class over a 4-quarter period. So basically the first year of this new business. All right. So you're going to pick a target geographic location to sell your bikes in. The choices are, you know, the globe, but there's basically just, they divide it into 4 segments. There's North America, there is Latin America, there's Europe, Middle East, and then there is Asia Pacific, and you get to decide which geographic region you want to go into. You can be successful with any bike in any region, um, but the regions have different market sizes, and you'll get the information on how large each market size is. Especially each segment will be a different size in each region, so it makes more sense to go into certain regions than others. That said, your classmates may choose to go into the same region that you decide to go into, and that could potentially hurt your demand. So there's an element of luck there. That said, there is really no reason, no matter what you choose, even if you have the worst luck in terms of everybody choosing the same region, if you still make good decisions otherwise, you can be a successful company. So there's no hard limit saying, the luck of the draw, we're just going to have some companies that are not successful. That's just not the case. There is plenty of market space for everyone to be successful. Although, the choices that you make may help you excel even further, if you happen to choose luckily, I guess, and not choose a region that others are in. I've had a few students in the past complain and say, we should know where others are going. That's not fair. But in the real world, if you're talking about startups, you don't really know about other new businesses until those new businesses actually launch. And so, you're going to know very quickly if there are others in your region, but you're not going to be able to know that when you launch your business. I may decide to create a new business in Murfreesboro because I see a gap in the market. There's no other whatever business choice I make in Murfreesboro, and I decide to launch it summer of 2020. Um, and I have no idea or no way of knowing if somebody else is going to do the same thing. And, because these geographic regions are so large, they're not small like the city of Murfreesboro, there's room for multiple companies. There are 3 market segments, and there is a relationship for these market segments in price and performance. The largest market segment, and that's indicated by the size of the circles, right? So the recreation segment is the largest, the mountain segment is the medium-sized segment, and the speed segment is the smallest. And you can see the relationship between price and performance. So recreation is obviously going to be the lowest performing, but also the cheapest. And then mountain is in the middle and speed is the highest. Don't get suckered into thinking, oh, I can just sell some, kind of junky mountain bikes to the recreation segment. Or, if they don't sell in the speed category because they're not quite good enough, well, they'll sell in the mountain segment. Actually, each of these 3 segments has certain characteristics that they're looking for in a bike. And so Just because they're all appearing here on the same graph, they're going to have very different features that the customers care about. And so it's really hard. It's possible that maybe some mountain bikes, if they're, not very well tailored to mountain bike people, it's possible that some of those mountain bikes will end up going to recreation customers, but it's rare. You really need to tailor make your bikes for the segment that you're targeting. In the first quarter, so here this first week that's going to be due on Monday, July 13th, you have to name your company, analyze some market information about customers, what they want, um, you know, where they're located, and make some decisions about an overall strategic direction. Strategic direction being what kind of company are we going to be? What segment are we targeting? Are we going to try to compete on price? Are we going to try to differentiate ourselves? What exactly does our company look like? And then you're going to set up shop. And set up shop entails designing brands, opening a sales outlet. You won't actually make any sales in the first quarter, but you have to open your sales outlet and then build a factory so that you can start churning out bikes starting in the second quarter. So you're making a lot of your big decisions that are going to determine the direction of your company for the rest of the simulation in the first quarter. Um, again, don't freak out about that. You do want to make decisions that are coherent with one another, that fit together like puzzle pieces, in that they're not at odds with each other. So, right, I don't want to decide I'm going to compete on price and bring my prices way down, and then design a bunch of brands that are expensive, right? Because that's going to that's going to really shrink the profit margin and probably make you, maybe lose money on each bike, and you don't want that. So you have to have a strategic direction and then stick with it with the tactics that are in your strategy. Also in quarter one, this is due on July 9th, you are going to be submitting a presentation or individual report. The presentation will be with your teammate or teammates to me via a Zoom session. You will present a PowerPoint presentation, and it should be about 8 to 10 minutes in length. And listed on this slide are the components of that. If you are an individual, I am not requiring that you present orally to me. You're just going to write up this same information in report form. You will submit this by the end of the day on July 9th if you're an individual. If you're a team, you will be presenting to me on or before July 9th. So you may end up presenting before July 9th, but if you do that, we just need to schedule a Zoom session. The PowerPoint, you need to already have a PowerPoint created, and you're going to share your screen when you Zoom with me so that I can look at your presentation while you are talking to me. In that presentation, I need the following information. You need to name your company, so the company name. I need to know your strategic direction. I'll talk about a little bit more about that in intro video that I'm going to give you guys, where I capture me working through the simulation in quarter one. You need to know the team positions in the company, who's doing what. This is for the team. For the individual, you don't have to do this one because as an individual, you'll be taking on every position in the company. You need to give me your primary segment. Are you going after recreation, mountain, or speed? And what's the rationale for your choice? You need to tell me how big your initial factory is going to be. That's going to be telling me how many 3D printers you're going to purchase. You're going to give me some idea about your brand design. This is optional, but you need to kind of give me a general idea, or if it's optional, to give me the specifics about it. And it might really help you to get the full dollar amount if I like what I'm seeing there. Might hurt you in getting the full dollar amount if I don't really care for what I'm seeing. But if you have a good solid brand design and you want to share that to me, it can only help. And then why should I invest in your bike company? Give me some rationale for investing in your bike company. Why are you different? Why are you going to do a good job? Um, Based on your report, I will award you anywhere from 500,000 to $200,000. The average team or individual will be given $1.5 million, and so there will be some people that earn less than $1.5 million because it has to average out, right? The best is going to get 2 million, and very poor reports will earn less than a million. So just know that there's a range of outcomes there. If you kind of give a solid average report, I'll be giving out a lot of $1.5 million. Once you know how much money you have to invest, you can finalize your decisions by July 13th. All right. So that's the information that I want in that initial report or presentation for the teams. In quarter two, you're actually going to start making some sales. This is referred to as the test market. You won't be making as many sales in quarter two as you will be making in quarter three and four. It's kind of, putting your foot in the water a little bit, but you'll be setting some prices, creating some advertising, deciding how much to advertise, and deciding how many salespeople to hire. You also are going to be, for the first time, determining how much you're going to pay employees and making your best guess in terms of how uh, much of the product that you're going to create. I'll go back to manufacturing later, a little bit in this presentation and a lot in a later presentation, but the number you project is going to determine how many workers that you hire for your factory, and you don't want to get that projection wrong, right? If you project too little, you'll end up hiring too few people. If you project too much, you'll hire too many people and your workers will just sit around. Both are problems that you don't want to have, so you want to be as accurate as you can with those projections. Um, in general, this is just me. I would rather hire, predict too high of a number and hire too many people. I hate having people demand my product and, there being actual available sales out there and me not being able to get it into their hands. All right. In quarter three, you're going to have a lot of data, right? You're going to have all of the reactions to your brands, to your pricing, to your advertising, and also reactions to what your competitors are doing. All right. You're going to study all of this and make adjustments to all of your strategy and tactics, as well as increase the factory capacity and perhaps, probably, build new sales outlets in anticipation of the new research and development that's coming out in quarter four. Quarter four is going to be kind of your home run, your best quarter where you're really building up to quarter four and you're hoping to see by the end of the year a lot of sales. Maybe, sell these bikes just in time for Christmas. And then in quarter four, you're going to apply all that you've learned about your business, and the market and all your competitors for the first year. You're going to have new brand R&D features, so you're probably going to be redesigning your bikes in quarter four. Your sales outlets are going to be further expanded. Your capacity is going to be even bigger. Um, and at the end of the simulation, there will be a final report. I should add, and I skipped it. I just totally skipped it on the last slide. That in quarter three, you'll be making a second presentation, and I will give you the details for that report. It's already available on D2L. Um, and you'll be presenting again, just like you did in quarter one, either individually with a paper or team with the Zoom session in quarter three. All right. And then after quarter four is over, there will be a final report where you will be kind of outlining, detailing your performance, going over the decisions you made, kind of analyzing those, telling what worked, what didn't work, and lessons that you can take from the simulation going forward, and also lessons where if you did the simulation again, what would you do differently? The bank is intolerant of poor financial management. If you end the quarter with a negative cash position, in other words, you make all your decisions, you spend all this on extra sales outlets, extra production capacity, and you wind up in the red in that your sales don't justify all those decisions, the bank will immediately contact a loan shark and they'll give you an emergency loan. Um, However, the loan shark is going to require a repayment in the next quarter with a very high interest rate. And so you can start getting into a big problem when you can't repay the loan shark in the next quarter. And if it goes on where you can't repay at that 20% interest rate, that's when you go bankrupt, and that really cripples you for the rest of the simulation. So you want to be careful. At the same time, teams that win, teams that really do well in the simulation, teams that will make an A on the performance part of the simulation, make some aggressive decisions. And so you want to really be careful with your marketing decisions and do the right thing. Be very scrupulous, but then be aggressive, right? Plan on being successful with your financial decisions. A firm is technically bankrupt if its cumulative losses exceed its equity investment. Bankruptcy is going to occur when the sum of the retained earnings and the common stock is a negative number. All right, so bankruptcy is possible. Um, Before you get to a point where you're bankrupt, if I see a company that's in some financial difficulties, I will actually request that we kind of chat about that, and I will give you some pointers. And you know, every team that is not doing so well needs to be prepared to meet with me during the simulation. I'll request those meetings and try to help you shore up. If you're doing well, but you'd like to meet with me and run some things by me, that's good too. I'm not going to give away the game in terms of telling you exactly what to do and for your decisions, but I will try to give you some guidance. And we try to base that as much on real life scenarios as we possibly can. Because I will use a balanced scorecard to evaluate your performance. The reason for using a balanced scorecard and not just like the overall profitability of your company is that it's not just how well you're doing now, but the balanced scorecard tells me how well you are prepared to perform in the future, right? If you're making all these decisions in manufacturing capacity and some great marketing decisions, and you've got, your human resources are really happy, and, all of these different things, less financial risk is obviously helpful. Um, then I am going to evaluate, the balance score. I'm not going to do it. The simulation gives me this number, but you're going to have a better balanced scorecard number. So it's actually theoretically possible and actually, fairly common for a team with a higher balanced scorecard number to maybe not necessarily have the highest profit amount in that given quarter, but because their company looks healthier going forward, we can expect higher profits going forward. That's not to say, profitability is the biggest component of the balanced scorecard. So it's still huge, but we want to look at the overall health of the company. So that's why I use a balanced scorecard. Here in quarter one, you need to establish a strategic direction. So you're going to name your company. Don't spend tons of time on that, but you do need to name a company. Um, you know, just avoid profanity is really my only thing that I'm asking you to do with the name of the company. And then analyze market information to evaluate the market opportunity. And I'll go through that and show you what that looks like. You need to consider your available financial resources. That will be predicated on your presentation to me. You need to consider the cost to open up sales outlets and the cost to open up and set up a factory. Both those things are necessary, right? Though you've got to do that, but how much you do is going to depend on how aggressive you want to be financially. And then establish your strategic direction. And again, I will come back to that. Everybody's production facility will be in Bangalore, India, and then you will be shipping your product to where it's ordered. So the sales outlets will be in different geographic locations. You may choose the North America location. and be primarily set up with your sales outlet in New York City. That's not where your manufacturing is going to take place. So everybody has the same sales outlets. You will have lower shipping costs and slightly lower product costs if you choose Asia Pacific as the place where you do set up your sales outlet. All right. And in the first quarter, you need to design at least one brand for each segment you're targeting, and you're required to target at least two segments. So you're going to be designing at least two brands in quarter one. It's important to know that customers buy benefits and not features. So what does that mean? Customers want certain things from your product. They're not necessarily looking, especially with a new technology, for specific certain features. They're not necessarily looking for, hey, I want this kind of handlebars. I want these kind of brakes. No, they're looking for the look and feel of the bike. And so your job is to give them what they want, or to, at the very least, give them the feeling and belief that they are getting what they want. You want happy customers, however it takes to get there. And there may be multiple features that you could select from that provide that same benefit, that same happiness to the customer, and you don't necessarily have to choose all of those features. You want to select the components that yield benefits for the segment. So let's take the speed segment, for example. Um, things like a racing seat and clipless pedals, and then just tracing these blue arrows, carbon fiber, ultra sleek racing tires, an aerodynamic frame. All of that adds to lightweight. They care about lightweight. They care about fast. They care about shifting smoothly. They may care about a status symbol. You need to pick, and all of these components cost money, right? So you need to pick components that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. This is going to especially be important when you have more price conscious consumers, especially in the recreation brand, right? Where they're really watching every dollar, and you've got to be careful. Um, that adding extra things may not be what you want to do. Um, that said, it's really important that you design a product that makes customers happy, that meets that threshold. If you don't get to a certain threshold with the quality of your bike, it doesn't matter how low the price is. Customers are just going to be like, I don't care. I'll just go buy a Huffy at Walmart. So that is quarter one of the simulation in a nutshell. In the other presentation that's here in the in the materials right below this one, I've got a video walkthrough where I've recorded myself going through the first quarter of decisions in the simulation very briefly. I think that would be of help as you are just figuring out how to navigate things and the order that you need to make your decisions in.